The smell of deception always made my stomach twist, even before everything else happened. They used to be her favorite, the white ones, the type that resembled trumpets announcing some grand occasion. But today, they smelled like a funeral for something once beautiful, something I had treasured. I heard the lock turn, the familiar jangle of keys, followed by the slight push as the door creaked open. I didn't look up from the worn pages of my book. Not yet. I was waiting, listening. Her heels clicked against the hardwood floor, a sound that used to make my heart race. Today, it felt like a hammer strike, each step echoing the fractured beat of my own heart. "Honey, I'm home." Her voice rang out bright, too bright. I could hear the fake smile behind it. The sound grated on my nerves like nails on a chalkboard. I kept my eyes fixed on the page, pretending to be absorbed in the lives of fictional characters, while my own life was spiraling into tragedy. "Oh, look," she said, her voice closer now. "I brought you some lilies. I know how much you love them." The blatant lie hung in the air like a thick, suffocating fog. That's when I finally looked up. I forced a smile, a tight, small one that likely looked more like a grimace. "They're beautiful, Clara." My voice was calm. Too calm, I knew. Years of hiding my emotions had turned me into an expert. I watched her as she crossed the living room, placing the lilies in the vase on the coffee table. She was dressed in her usual style, a casual summer dress that always seemed a bit too bright for the beige walls of our living room. Her blonde hair, which I used to love running my fingers through, was perfectly styled, not a strand out of place. It was the same Clara, but not the Clara I had fallen in love with. Then she stopped, her eyes widening. Her perfectly painted lips parted slightly, and the color drained from her face, leaving her looking as pale as the lily she brought. Where is it?" she whispered, her fake facade crumbling at last. I knew exactly what she meant. The spot on the wall above the fireplace, where the enormous framed wedding photo had hung for the past 8 years. It was now empty. I had taken it down. The hooks were gone, and the wall was wiped clean. Not a trace remained. "What's missing, Clara?" I asked, my voice still calm, almost detached. I wanted her to say it, to give a name to the guilt she had been hiding. "The picture. The wedding picture." "Where is it?" she asked, pacing now, her heels clicking nervously against the floor. The sound echoed in the sudden silence. I closed my book, a thick biography of Abraham Lincoln, and placed it on the coffee table. "I took it down," I said, my voice steady. She stopped pacing and turned to face me, her eyes searching mine. A flicker of panic replaced the fear. "Why?" she asked, her voice trembling. I leaned back in my chair, finally meeting her gaze. "Because, Clara," I began, my tone controlled, "a picture is supposed to capture a moment in time. A memory, right? A snapshot of a specific point in a relationship." I paused, letting the words linger in the air. "And that picture, that wedding picture, it's a lie." She recoiled, as though I had slapped her. Her face was a mixture of confusion and disbelief. "What are you talking about?" Her voice was shaky now, the calm veneer shattered. "It's a picture of us on what was supposed to be the best day of our lives," I continued, my tone unwavering. "A day that was supposed to mark the start of a life full of promise." I paused again, my words hanging in the air. "But it doesn't reflect who we are anymore, does it? It's just a picture, a reminder of something that no longer exists." I watched as she tried to piece it together, her confusion slowly giving way to the gradual realization. Her eyes narrowed, and for a brief moment, I saw a flash of anger quickly suppressed. "You know," I said, my voice colder now. It wasn't a question. It was a statement of truth. "Yes, Clara, I know," I added, letting the silence hang between us, thick and suffocating. The unspoken accusations filled the space, heavy with the weight of everything unsaid. "How long?" she whispered, her voice barely audible. "Long enough," I replied, not elaborating. I didn't tell her about the burner phone I'd found hidden beneath the lining of her purse, nor the countless texts and late-night calls that painted a vivid picture of her secret life. I didn't mention how I had carefully documented every shred of evidence, every small betrayal, an emotionally draining task that nearly broke me. "Who is he?" she asked, her voice trembling. "Does it matter?" I responded flatly. "His name won't change the fact that you betrayed me, Clara. It won't erase the months of lies and deceit." She dropped onto the couch, burying her face in her hands. The flowers lay forgotten on the table. "I don't know what to say," she sobbed, the perfect facade finally crumbling. "Don't," I said, my voice firm but calm. "Don't say anything for once. Just listen." I pulled a small flat box from the side table. It wasn't a jewelry box like the ones I'd given her before. It was a thick cardboard box tied with simple brown string. I placed it on the coffee table in front of her, watching as she slowly looked up. Her eyes were red and swollen, filled with questions, confusion, and a hint of hope. She untied the string, her hands shaking. Inside, she didn't find jewels, but stacks of neatly organized papers. There were bank statements, phone records, travel itineraries, and a few photos printed on glossy paper. They weren't the loving kind. These pictures captured stolen moments, secret meetings, and hushed whispers between her and him. She didn't speak as she sifted through the evidence. The truth lay bare before her. Her face grew even paler as she realized the extent of my knowledge. The hope in her eyes was replaced by pure, unfiltered fear. "Everything," I said, my voice low but clear. "Everything you did, every lie you told, every secret rendezvous, it's all there, Clara. Documented." The weight of her betrayal finally crushed her. The sob that escaped her was raw and gut-wrenching. She looked at me, her eyes pleading, but there was no pity in mine, only exhaustion. I made a mistake," she whispered, her voice choked with tears. "A mistake?" I repeated, my words dripping with sarcasm. "This wasn't a mistake, Clara. This was a choice. A long, calculated decision to break our vows, to destroy our marriage, to destroy me." She didn't respond. She just sat there, defeated, the truth now visible in her eyes. "I'm leaving," I said, standing up. "I've already packed a bag. I'm filing for divorce. It'll be served within the week. There's a lawyer's letter among those papers, explaining the details of the prenup we signed that day. The day that photograph was taken. The day you're no longer part of." I walked to the door without looking back, leaving her behind in the ruins of her deceit and lies. The sound of her heels against the floor, which once made my heart flutter, now felt like the final, deafening toll of something that was never real. As I stepped outside, I took a deep breath. For the first time in months, the air felt clean. The weight had finally lifted. The satisfaction didn't lie in her pain, but in my freedom. In the memory of her white face surrounded by her white lies, I found a revenge more satisfying than I could have ever imagined. I drove away, leaving her with the quiet hum of her own regrets and the silent whisper of a marriage that was never meant to be. And I knew with a certainty that settled deep within my bones, I was finally free.